My fiancé and I got engaged last month, and we've been in a relationship for 4 years. I was very excited about marrying her and having her as a life partner until I learned something recently which is making me have second thoughts. To provide some more context, my fiancé always seemed a bit nervous around my sister. I asked my fiancé about it, and she just said they were old high school friends. When I asked my sister, she too said the same thing, but she was always a bit cold to my fiancé. This carried on the entire time we were dating, and my sister was always somewhat cold to my fiancé. When I told her I proposed and was engaged, she congratulated me, but she didn't seem too excited or thrilled for me, which surprised me because we are always each other's biggest supporters and well-wishers. But I did not make too much of it and was really excited that I was engaged and was going to marry the love of my life. However, last week, my sister called me for a serious chat. She said she always wanted to get it off her chest, but that she didn't want to interfere in my relationship, but that she felt I had the right to know before marrying my fiancé. She told me she was distant friends with my fiancé in high school, but that friendship was broken after her boyfriend had cheated on her with my fiancé. She said my fiancé knew about their relationship, but she still chose to hook up with her boyfriend. I was a bit shocked, because I remember consoling my sister for a few months after her boyfriend cheated on her. I just didn't know that the person he had cheated on with was my fiancé. The next day, I asked my fiancé about it, and she fully admitted to it, but she was also in tears. She said that was a horrible mistake she made in high school, and she felt guilty about it, and that she is a completely changed woman, and that experience taught her so much. While I do believe my fiancé that she is a changed woman and that she is not the type to cheat, I am just having second thoughts about everything. I still remember the hurt my sister felt in high school, and to now know that my fiancé was responsible for the hurt, it makes me look at her in a different light.
Comment 1. What does distant friends in high school mean? That they saw each other in passing while walking the aisle? Took a few classes together? They weren't close, and that was 10 years ago. This is not something to be held over her head. If your sister was so bothered, she should have said something before you proposed. I don't blame the fiancé, is not like people go around divulging every mistake they made as teenagers. Comment 2. I really hope you never made a dumb mistake in high school. But I guess your sister got the best revenge possible by waiting years, letting your relationship grow, plan a wedding, then bam, it's over. Bet your sister is thrilled she gets her pay back. I say this because she could have just told you at the start, so could your GF, but yeah, if you're going to dump her over stupid high school crap, you're probably not ready for marriage anyway. Comment 3. Don't let past mistakes define who she is today. She made a big mistake in her time, but she seems really remorseful. Would it be good if you sat down with your sister and your fiancé, talked about their mutual history and clear the air? Then you could probably better make a decision about if you have a future and can you and your sister get past the past. NTA. BTW, really weird this has not come up in the last 4 years.
My parents have 4 kids already. Me, 17M, my younger sister, 13F, younger brother, 12M, and youngest sister, 10F. My parents have relied on me heavily to take care of my siblings. Started when I was still too young to do much, but they'd put them in my room if a nightmare happened, and after each sibling was 6 months old, they started sharing a room with me until they were 3. Then it was getting me to prepare something to eat for my younger siblings. It was also staying home with them while mom went shopping, and over time it evolved. I help with homework, I make sure they're awake for school, I walk them to school since I don't have a car, I feed them, and most of the time I'm the one they come to if they need help with something. My parents will drop them off at birthday parties or to friends' houses. They'll take us out for family experiences, but admittedly expect me to keep an eye on my siblings. My parents provide the food and house and clothes. I provide the emotional stuff. I don't love doing it, but I got so used to it that it became second nature. I'm still the person my youngest sister comes to if she has a nightmare or is afraid of anything during the night. My parents learned they were pregnant again in February. They told me and my siblings last month. It was very much talked about like I will have the baby with me, in my room, for the jump and should learn how to independently change diapers and stuff. I made it clear from the jump that I wasn't raising their next kid for them. I told them I had more responsibility to my three siblings than I should have ever had. But I wasn't going to skip my own life to raise an infant from the start. My parents were shocked. They tried to get one of my younger siblings on board, but they said no way. They didn't want to be responsible like me. My parents returned to me with the topic and asked what the duck they're meant to do, and they never expected me to reject a sibling like this. I said I reject child raising another one of their kids. Not a sibling. But also, I'll be out of the house in 7 months. I won't be around the new sibling as much and the relationship might not be the same. I told them I don't want the same relationship either. I don't want to be a parent to another sibling. They made it pretty clear they don't want to do the actual child raising, and they're living a nightmare over this. When the topic came up during the last week, I told them they need to place the baby for adoption since they won't have a good childhood with nobody wanting to raise them. I told my parents it would be the kindest thing to do if they refused to raise the baby themselves. My parents accused me of treating adoption flippantly, and they were sorta outraged I would rather they place the baby for adoption than for me to step up and raise this one too.
Comment 1. I raised my younger sisters too. It really put a strain on our relationship and fucked me up for a long time. I think you're really brave for standing up for yourself at such a young age, and you'll have a good future ahead. My only comment is don't let this destroy your relationship with your siblings. They didn't ask for this situation any more than you did, and when you get older and farther from your parents, you'll be able to re-establish a relationship that is healthier. Also, once you're gone, look into therapy. Emotional abuse and neglect aren't always talked about but can be just as damaging as physical abuse. Comment 2. NTA, it's their responsibility, not yours. If your dad can't keep it in his pants, not your problem. I'm so sorry they abused you to fill the hole of their neglect. They are irresponsible and lack any backbone to endure the consequences of their own actions. I do applaud you for being in touch with your feelings and communicating your boundaries around this. I wish I had been that in touch when my parents put me in that position. You yourself will make a fine adult. Keep emotionally in touch with yourself and stay aware of your boundaries. They are worth a lot. Comment 3. Absolutely NTA. It's sad when the child is more mature and responsible than the parents. You did exactly the right thing, and I applaud you not only for your bravery but how you showed up as an excellent example to your siblings. I see you. I, 28F, have always had this as a deal breaker. I won't date a single dad. But recently I've had a few people tell me I'm being cruel and unreasonable for this. A few weeks ago my friend wanted to set me up with someone. She didn't give me any info about him and just said we'll really get along. I trusted her and went on this blind date. Turned out the guy has 2 kids, they live with their mother full-time, and the reason for the divorce was he was unhappy with her life decision and felt she made many immoral choices. I didn't really care to stick around after that. In my mind, if your ex is so terrible and immoral, how is she the one raising the kids full-time? She has full custody? She's awful, but you're still okay with your kids being in that environment? Needless to say, I got into a big fight with my friend because she knew my deal breaker and concealed this fact to pressure me into this date. She is saying that it's not a big deal because he doesn't have custody of his kids. TBH, in my eyes, that's even worse. Fast forward to a few days ago and another friend asked me if I'm willing to meet up with a guy. She says she's unsure how many kids he has, but it's either 2 to 3. I said no and explained again that this is firm deal breaker for me. My friend thinks him being unfair and should expand my horizons. My perspective here is that personally I'm unsure about having kids myself. If I'm not fully ready, financially and emotionally ready for kids, I won't even think about it. So if I do decide that I'm ready, I want it to be my partner's first experience with me too. On the other hand, I really don't like the argument that a man doesn't have custody of his kids or even visits them, so I should basically consider him child-free. No, he's a deadbeat dad and will likely leave me in the same position. Now I feel a little bad because a few of my friends are telling me I'm cruel with my way of thinking. That a lot of people have circumstances that I'm aware of. I talked to my mom and she's on my side. I'm well educated, multiple degrees in the medical field, I'm making good money, I managed my money well so I have no debt, and am looking to buy a house soon. She said everything else is a distraction, just to focus on what's good for me. My friend is telling me that I'm too picky, I break off relationships too quickly, and my person might not fit the rigid requirements I have for a partner. Comment 1. NTA. In my opinion, people love to say that it's not a big deal. But if someone that you're with doesn't see their children as a priority in their life to the point where they think their romantic partner shouldn't even care, then what's left for you as said romantic partner? Kids are a big responsibility. If you're not ready to play the soft role of the stepmom, stay firm with your conditions and limitations. Don't force yourself into something you're not comfortable with just because someone else doesn't have the same POV as you. In the end, the only one in misery will be you. Comment 2. NTA. Your life, your choices. If you do not want children in your life, it is perfectly reasonable for you to say no to dating a single dad. The so-called friends are not your friends, not really. They don't accept your decision and your opinions and are trying to change something you have obviously thought about. It is very unkind of them to set you up with men they know you will reject. It's not kind to you, and it's not kind to the men involved. It's incredibly disrespectful. Comment 3. NTA. Your mom gave you sound advice. You have your reasons as to why you do not want to get involved with a man with children in tow, and that is your decision and yours alone. Clearly those situations bring complications, but they can also bring great love and joy. Maybe someday you will meet someone who makes you reconsider this stance, but until then you owe no explanations for your parameters to anyone else. I get where your position likely narrows the field of acceptable dates, but your friend was wrong to trick you into dating someone you would have passed on had you known his history. My cousin is getting married at the end of August in California, at a vineyard. No one in the family is in California, so to go I need to get a hotel. Me, my mom, and brother found an Airbnb that relatively close. Also I should mention my husband is posted abroad and won't be coming, I was going to fly to the US for this. The invite came out only 3 weeks ago and we had to scramble to find a place. The issue now is that I have a 4-month-old baby who only breastfeeds and won't take a bottle. She had to drink from an open cup one time because I needed to take a driving exam, and that is the longest she has ever been away from me. They just let us know that no children under 12 are allowed. So I told them that logistically I can't come. They suggested that me and my mother go back and forth to the Airbnb to watch the baby, and I said it's just too big of a deal. To fly all the way there, pay for an Airbnb and then go back and forth during the wedding. It just doesn't seem worth it. It's a lot of effort to do all of that by myself with a small baby. The Airbnb and plane are still refundable at this point. My cousin is mad that I'm cancelling as they paid per head and can't reduce the amount at this point. I said they can try and find someone else to invite. I said it's his fault that they didn't write the child rule on the invitation. He said I should not be stingy and get a babysitter. I don't know anyone in that area of California, and honestly paying for a babysitter on top of an Airbnb and flight is ridiculous to me. He says it's standard to not bring children to weddings. Edits for clarity, short notice is because bride is pregnant. I live with my husband in Germany where he is posted. Baby already has passport because she is only US citizen. Because of the shotgun nature of the wedding, the invite consisted of a graphic image without particular guest names emailed to the guests. The RSVP system also let me choose up to 3 people, so I thought that was me, my baby, and my husband. Update: apparently about 30 people have cancelled because of this, and that's why they are complaining so much about the costs. Comment 1. NTA. Who expects the parents of a 4-month-old to find a babysitter in a strange place at the last minute? I flew back to the USA from overseas with a 10-month-old, and that was hard enough. Alone with a 4-month-old sounds daunting. Do not let your cousin bully you. Cancel everything and stay home. If your mother and brother want the Airbnb, they can cover your share, or find other accommodation. Comment 2. NTA. You were willing to fly internationally with an infant alone for your cousin's wedding. They couldn't plan ahead and let you know it was child-free? They couldn't make one exception. Even if your baby took a bottle, who would you trust with them? I'm sorry, but some of these wedding rules these days completely forget that attendees are their guests.